This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Reed versus Smith. You all have submitted documents to this court. It's my understanding, Mr. Reed, that you are suing for facial and chest burns that you sustained at the defendant's bar, Mr. Smith's bar, that you are suing him for $100,000 in medical bills, $200,000 in future medical bills, and $500,000 for pain and suffering, for a total of $800,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Smith, your response to this lawsuit is he's responsible for his own injuries because he knew what he was doing, basically.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, well now, let's get into the legal sauce. Mr. Reed, tell me what led you to go to the bar that night?
I was with my lovely girlfriend, Antonia, and I used to actually work at this bar.
You did?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
What'd you do at the bar?
Well, I was a bartender.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And I could bounce if need be. But anyways, I was taking her to the bar, show her some old friends, some old co-workers, and really just to have a good time.
Going back to your old stomping ground?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Now, your bar, tell me about your bar.
It's always been a really fun place, Your Honor. He worked there for me for several years after college when he needed a job. It's a fun place where all the locals, all the college students go just to have a really good time.
What makes your place unique?
We're known every weekend for doing some stunts and performances, including the fire incident, which brought us here today.
Mr. Smith, you submitted a video of the stunt that makes your bar famous, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's take a look at it. Now, talk me through this. What is happening here?
So, successfully done, you were taking a shot of high-proof liquor.
And what is he doing here? What's the goal? What is the attraction?
To put the mist of the shot over the flame in order to make it look like you're breathing fire.
And this makes the bar crowds go crazy on the beat?
They love it.
Are you doing this every night?
Most nights, yes.
And while you worked there, you saw people do this stunt?
Absolutely. I used to do it myself.
So the stunt itself is not new to you?
No, sir. Not
and
at
you
all.
used to do it. You used
Absolutely.
to get alcohol in your mouth and blow it into a flame?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, you ever burned yourself before?
I was the toast of the town.
You ever burned yourself before?
No, sir.
Have you ever had anybody burn themselves while doing the stunt?
No, sir. We have trained employees who do this stunt, and he worked for me for several years where he worked at this bar and he did this stunt thousands of times.
So he's not a novice?
No, sir.
And you're not a novice, are you, Mr. Reed?
No, sir.
Okay, so what happens? You go to the bar.
I was out there in the crowd with my girlfriend, and he spots me. So he asked me to come into the employees only area. So he wanted me to basically kind of come out of retirement. He wanted me to do the fire breathing trick that I had done years ago.
So in the past, he must have done this trick pretty well for you to ask him to do it.
Yes, sir.
If I may,
Yes,
he
ma'am.
wanted him to perform something he hadn't practiced or prepared in years.
It was his choice to do it.
So,
Now, ma'am, for the record, state your name.
my name is Antonia Guzman.
And Ms. Guzman, were you there?
Yes, I was actually there. We were having a date night.
And Mr. Reed, what happened?
He wanted me to continue to do the stunt that I'd done in the past,
Okay.
years ago. This isn't some game. We're talking about alcohol and fire, right?
It's dangerous.
It is very dangerous. It's even dangerous when you do it with the proper proof of alcohol.
And you knew that?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. So I didn't want to do it. He would not leave me alone. He started getting everyone in the crowd to start chanting, Robin, Robin.
So you start
Robin.
feeling the
I was
pressure of the
I was
crowd.
feeling it. I can't even lie.
Mr. Reed, tell me, what happened? How did you get hurt?
Once he basically coerced me into doing it, he gave me the lighter, bottle of liquor, and it's really a torch more than a lighter.
Okay,
but then
like you light a cigar?
You can't use it that. It's kind of, well, you can, but you kind of have to use kind of a blowtorch.
Okay.
That's really the genuinely...
So you got a bottle of liquor and a blowtorch.
And a blowtorch,
Okay.
yes, sir. Absolutely.
This sounds like a good evening start.
I know.
So what happened?
So I did what I've normally done in the past years ago.
Okay.
I took a shot of the liquor. See, the crazy thing is the liquor doesn't actually cause the flame. It's the vapor that comes off the liquor. So if
Okay.
it's too strong, it's
I didn't know
really
that.
dangerous. Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
It's really dangerous.
So it's the mist that comes off the liquor that is ignitable.
Right, yes, sir.
So what did you do?
So I took a drink of the liquor out of the bottle, and I went to blow it out to the torch.
Now, when you did that, is that how you've done it before?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then what happened?
Then before I knew it, all I could see was flames. I knew something wasn't right. So after my face and my chest and my neck were on fire.
So your face was actually engulfed in
My face
flames?
was on fire. These bandages aren't fake.
So you're engulfed in flames, then what?
We were on the beach, of course, it's a beach bar. So I dove face first into the sand. Couldn't see where I was diving exactly. Actually dove and hit a rock.
When you say you hit a rock, what part of your body hit the rock?
My nose.
So that's why
and
you got
actually
your
the top
nose
part of my
bandaged
jaw.
up.
So my nose is broken and 2 of my back teeth were knocked out.
So Mr. Smith, what do you remember?
He's got selective amnesia, Your Honor.
Okay.
What do you remember?
Like you heard him say, he was the talk of the town. He was almost a local celebrity. He said it himself. So it did not take much coercion. It didn't take much to get him up there and do the stunt.
But you're not saying you didn't encourage him, right?
I may have encouraged him, but I didn't force it upon him. He's a grown man. He chose to do that stunt.
And you let him go forward and do the stunt,
Yes,
right?
he's a dramatic. He was dramatic back in college. He's dramatic when he worked for
How's
me.
this
Now-
dramatic for you? Is that dramatic
now
for you?
I thought he was
Paul,
just
look,
performing
look,
still.
Paul.
I thought he
Mr.
was
Reed.
just performing still.
Direct your comments to me so I can
thought he
figure
was
this
just
out.
performing still. When he dove onto the ground, I thought that was part of the performance.
You didn't realize that he was badly
No,
hurt.
I didn't. And once I realized, I was the first person to call 911.
This had to make your heart stop.
Of course it did.
You
We
got-
could have waited for her to call 911. What was she doing? Filming.
So I'm clear, that night, you actually caught on video his face exploding into flames.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Reed, I know you've been through a lot. Is it okay that we watch that so I can understand it?
Absolutely,
Can you get through
sir.
that?
I have nothing to hide, so absolutely.
Well, let's take a look at it. So this is you. Talk me through this. What are you doing?
Right, so there's the liquor, and there's the torch, and there's my face on fire.
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa.
Right?
I know you
Yeah.
must have been going crazy.
Exactly.
When you go down, that's when you jump down into the sand.
And that's where I hit my nose and also knocked out 2 of my teeth. So why this man doesn't want to man up and help me out when it happened on
I
your
was
property
the first person to
at
call
your
911,
bar?
and what was your girlfriend doing?
Aren't you old?
You know, you
really,
guys-
you're old to be a bartender.
You guys
You're the
sound
one
like
that's on fire.
you guys sound like
set
old
himself on
friends. But today you talk to me. Mr. Smith, when his face goes up in flames, didn't you think by then something had gone bad? You don't believe this is your fault, do you?
No, it's not my fault, sir.
Tell me why.
He did this of his own free will. I did not force the bottle into his hands, which is the same bottle that all my other employees use.
It's not the right proof of alcohol. This is
It
not
is the
rocket
same-
science.
You're
that all my
lying.
It's
other
not rocket
employees
science.
use.
Mentiroso!
Folks,
He should know the strength of the alcohol. See, you can get away.
did you know the strength of the alcohol?
I did not.
And he shouldn't have done it. It was his choice
You
to do the
shouldn't have
stunt.
asked me, moron.
You are a grown man. You chose
Now-
to do it.
Mr. Reed, I need to understand this. You are suing Mr. Smith for $100,000 in past medical expenses and then $200,000 for future medical expenses.
Correct.
What is your understanding of what you're going to need for future
multiple
meds?
skin grafts and multiple different plastic surgeries.
Face and chest?
Absolutely.
That's you, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what we're looking at here. This is
well,
right
I
after
can tell you what you're looking at. You're looking at 3rd-degree burns.
on your forehead and your cheeks.
I look like a villain in a movie. So I'm coming for that movie star check.
How about your chest? So that's your chest?
Absolutely.
Mr. Smith, this is the result of the stunt being done. I mean, regardless of whose fault it is, it happened in your bar, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you believe he took it on himself, and this is the price of doing dangerous things.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you see that, Mr. Reed?
No.
That this is the price of doing dangerous things? You don't see it that way?
When the other party in the stunt is negligent, absolutely.
Mr. Reed, tell me this.
Sir.
Is there anything you'd like to say to him?
Yeah.
And I want you to receive
Absolutely.
it, but
Absolutely.
respectfully.
Absolutely. Cut the check.
Thought you'd say more, but we'll deal with that. So, Mr. Smith, tell me this. With your prior employees who have done this stunt, did any of them refuse?
They always have the right to refuse. He could have refused, and I'm not going to punish them for it.
Now, on this night, though, you've got a full bar.
Yes.
It's my understanding that the crowd was getting hyped up, so everybody's looking forward to this. Kind of hard to say no, right?
Maybe, but he still has that right.
And you could have said no, right, Mr. Reed?
100%.
He does all of this for his social media
And you
accounts.
you
for
think
those political accounts.
giving
His
way to
girlfriend
the
admitted
pressure?
to
Paul,
filming them.
Paul,
Gentlemen?
the adults are speaking.
Gentlemen, we need order in this court.
His girlfriend admitted to filming it. She was there filming the stunt the entire time for her social media page, which she said.
You
was
have a
filming
problem
it.
with her filming it?
When I was the first one to call 911, and she continued to film the stunt, because this is what he does.
So, Ms. Guzman, you filmed this all the way with Mr. Reed going down to the sand after he had been engulfed in flames.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Yes, Your Honor, but
For their social media.
It wasn't until I heard him yell in pain from hitting his nose on the rock, I stopped filming as soon as that happened.
But when he burst into flames, you still thought it was part of the stunt.
I did. I actually had no idea that he was.
And Mr. Smith, you thought so too.
Yes, I did.
Well, at least we got one thing we agree on, right? That both of you didn't know that it had gone bad until he went down to the ground.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? So you go down into the sand, and that's when you slam your face onto a rock.
Face first.
And I've seen
Did it
him
knock
bleeding.
you out?
Knocked out cold? No, but was I stunned? Were two of my teeth gone? Was my nose broken? Did I have third-degree burns all over my body? Yes, absolutely.
Now, Mr. Smith, you seem like you were a little ticked about the whole social media flair that Ms. Guzman adds to this equation. Why?
Because that is proof that that is part of the lifestyle they both choose to live.
It's because
Lifestyle,
he's not
a
popular on
social media lifestyle?
He's just
The
jealous.
social media of his dangerous stunts.
He doesn't have any friends.
That is what their social media pages are
Yeah.
dedicated to.
Well, you actually submitted some materials to the court that captured some of that stuff. These documents are from the plaintiff's social media, right?
No safety gear, he's free
Now,
climbing.
Mr. Reed, that's you on the side of that mountain, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Ms. Guzman, do you accompany him on these thrill-seeking exercises?
Yes, Your Honor. I am his personal videographer.
So you're filming in full anticipation that you're going to put it online.
Yes, Your Honor. And as you can see, he isn't a pro, but no one
But the
is
thing was, it
pushing
hadn't been
him to do
5 years
something
in
that he can't
between
do.
since I last kayaked.
No one is pressuring him to do something he had never practiced.
And yet he
he's
chose to
never
do it
done.
himself.
But y'all agree that you are a bit of a thrill seeker, right?
I would say we live life.
Okay.
fullest.
Now, Mr. Smith, given that he's a thrill seeker, did that enter into your decision to ask him to do this stuff?
Yeah, I knew he enjoyed performing for crowds. I knew he enjoyed those aspects of those dangerous stunts, and I trusted that it was going to go okay.
Mr. Reed, I understand your injuries. I want to understand the pain and suffering experience. Tell me what you're going through.
So I have third-degree burns on my face,
Yes,
my
sir.
neck, and my chest. Add the two teeth that were gone, and the broken nose. But, Your Honor, it's not about the physical
Seems
thing.
like this hurts you even to look at these pictures.
Well, it does.
Your
it
Honor,
does.
it's also hurting our bedroom
Whoa,
life.
what are you doing?
So you're rough on everybody. Show respect. Show respect. At least in my courtroom, do so.
I apologize.
Now, what's been your daily experience with these injuries?
But it's the physical things can heal, Your Honor. It's the things you can't see. And
None of that is my fault.
that's what this guy can't understand.
Are you worried about scarring to your face?
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, I think I've heard everything I need to hear. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove three things: that the defendant committed a wrong that caused the plaintiff's injuries. Here, you're doing a stunt at Mr. Smith's prompting, but you had every expectation that the alcohol would be proper and that this would turn out just fine, and frankly, it would end up on social media and people would think you were a bad mamma jamma, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You, on the other hand, Mr. Smith, you say he did this willingly. No one coerced him. He could have said no.
Yes, Your
right?
Honor.
Well, see, that's the tricky part when you apply law to this. The law requires that I, as the judge, consider the fault of everyone involved. Everyone had a hand in this. You could have said no, Mr. Reed. You could have not gotten him involved, Mr. Smith. The result was terrible and life-altering. Let me give you a legal lesson, Mr. Reed. When you take on something as dangerous as spitting alcohol into a flame, you have to understand that this can go bad, and you must take ownership both of the risk, but also of the consequences. Mr. Smith, let me give you a legal lesson. Whenever you, as a proprietor, engage in an activity or encourage people to engage in an activity that is inherently dangerous, you must take extra care to make sure that people are safe. And that's
right.
what this case is about. Mr. Reed, you are asking this court to give you $200,000 for future medicals, $100,000 for your medical bills,
Yes, Your Honor.
and $500,000 for pain and suffering.
Absolutely.
I am not going to give you all of that because not all of this was Mr. Smith's fault.
So
You are at fault for your injuries, but not alone. I find that you're 49% at fault, and you, Mr. Smith, are 51% at fault. Mr. Reed, I find in your favor, in the amount of $408,000, 51% of what you are seeking. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned. This is the matter of Davidson versus Campbell. From the materials that you all have submitted to this court, it's my understanding, Ms. Davidson, that you are suing Ms. Campbell for injuries that you sustained while cleaning her house. You're asking this court to award you $15,000 for your medical expenses and $65,000 for emotional distress for a total award that you seek of $80,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Campbell, your position on this is she's supposed to clean and her injuries are her fault.
Yes, Your Honor.
So let's get into the legal sauce. Ms. Davidson, how did you come to clean Ms. Campbell's house?
Well, I was previously working for another family, the Cushers, and they recommended me to the Campbell family. So I've been working for the Campbell family for about 3 years.
So you're pretty much a regular at their house.
I am, Your Honor. I do the bathrooms, I change the sheets, I start the laundry. Unfortunately, I also look after the children sometimes. I mop the floors. I do everything, everything a housekeeper should do.
So, Ms. Campbell, this is a full service that Ms. Davidson is offering you, right?
It is, Your Honor.
And she did a good job up until this day, right?
She does a good job, yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Davidson, you're cleaning the house. What happened?
Well, on this particular day, Miss Vivian had asked me to change the contact paper in the kitchen. I decided to go all the way up to the top. I'm doing a great job. I skip lunch.
You're trying to be thorough.
I am thorough because I am very good at what I do. So I continue working and I get to a high shelf and I see that there are some cookies.
Said she couldn't go on the high shelf.
She has always told me, mi casa, su casa.
You thought you had the run of the house while you cleaned.
Of course,
Okay.
Absolutely. So because I had worked through lunch, I got a cookie and I ate one cookie.
You were hungry.
I was starving.
Okay.
It tasted a little bit strange.
Now, in the past,
Yes.
have you gone into the fridge and gotten a little something to
Of
eat while you
course.
clean, that kind of stuff?
Of course.
And was that okay?
Absolutely.
You welcome that kind of thing?
The fridge is fine, Your Honor. Becoming a cabinet climber, I didn't expect.
These cookies, was it in a cookie jar, a plate? What was it up there on the shelf?
Yes, Your Honor. It was in a glass jar.
I see you've brought a jar of cookies.
Yes, sir.
That's not the jar of cookies,
It is
right?
not, Your Honor.
Okay, but it was like
I'm a
that.
law-abiding citizen.
So you eat the cookie.
I eat a total of 3.
Okay.
And I
You were
continue
really
working.
hungry then.
I was
Okay.
very hungry. And so I start feeling a little funny, a little lightheaded, but I didn't know if it was because I hadn't had lunch, right?
Okay.
So I kind of hold on to the shelf that I was working on. And the next thing I know, I'm nauseous, I'm sweating, I'm dizzy, and I fall off the stool.
The
I'm
stool
in
she said she couldn't go onto.
excruciating pain. I have never said that.
So you fall off the stool onto the floor.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. And so I actually have to crawl on my hands and knees to get to my phone to call my son, who is luckily at home.
Were you hurt?
I was in excruciating pain. I was also very nauseous, again, like I said, and I ended up throwing up.
And you didn't know what was going on.
I didn't know if I was having a stroke.
Call
I had
911.
no idea what was going on.
Now you've got someone cleaning your house.
Yes,
they
sir.
fall off a stool,
Yes, Your Honor.
hurt themselves. That's got to be of some concern to you. Right?
Your Honor, here.
Yes or no? It's some concern,
I am
right?
Concerned.
Why is it so hard?
It's hard, Your Honor, because for the 3 years that she's worked with my husband and I,
Yes, ma'am.
she was very clear from the beginning she could not clean anything up high. She
Okay.
was afraid to go up on ladders.
She
That is
told you she
not
was
true.
afraid of heights?
3 years ago.
And so why would you have her clean above just floor level then?
This is how it happened, Your Honor.
Okay, tell me.
All that she was supposed to do. There were drawers. The contact paper needed to be changed in those, and on the first 2 levels of shelves. Okay? No one sees those shelves up high. Why would I care if they have contact paper up there?
I was doing a good job. I was going above and beyond. I was
Above and
trying
beyond
to
because
make
you know your
Ms.
knees
Davidson,
gone high before.
Ms. Davidson, you actually submitted a photograph of the shelves in the kitchen, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I see you've got your scooter. Is it okay for you to come over here and show me what we're looking at?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, could you do that for me? And Sheriff Matt, help her as much as you can.
It just might take me a
Take
little
your
bit.
time.
Thank you.
Take your time.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. I'm going to have to back in.
So, Ms. Davidson, tell us what we're looking at here.
So this is the kitchen where I have cleaned for the past 3 years.
And Ms. Campbell, that's your kitchen.
It is my kitchen.
Those are your shelves.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Davidson, tell us what this photograph does.
And I'd also like to just point out that these are open shelves. So these are not closed cabinets. So everything visually you can see clearly.
Ms.
Level to
Davidson,
shelves.
where did you find these cookies?
Right up here on the very top right-hand corner.
So on that top right-hand corner where the circle is, that's where you found these cookies.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you thought they were just ordinary cookies.
Absolutely.
That I
Yes, Your
keep
Honor.
on the very top.
And so how soon after you ate these cookies did you find yourself feeling faint and eventually fall?
I came down and went up.
back up.
And down and went up. And then I had the third cookie. And about 15 minutes had passed. And that's when I knew something was very, very wrong. And I wasn't sure what it was. I wasn't sure if it was because I hadn't eaten or if perhaps I was having a stroke or some medical condition. But I didn't have time to really come down and react. I held on to the shelf and I fell.
So you fell off the stool
Yes, Your Honor.
onto the floor.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's how you hurt your ankle.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may go back to your podium. Take your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
Yes, ma'am.
may I approach the screen?
Please,
Thank
please.
you.
Tell us about your house and your shelves.
As you can see, these are drawers, and then there are the open shelves. This row, right here. All she was supposed to do.
But she was trying to do a good job for you, right?
Yes, Your Honor, she apparently was. However, if she was that hungry, why did she keep going up for a cookie? Why didn't she eat her lunch?
Your Honor, because I was trying to finish, and so I thought if I had just a small snack, I could just keep going and finish the job.
So, Ms.
And
Campbell, you
Bam.
understand that, right? You understand she's trying to move this along, get your job done?
It just seems very odd to me, Your Honor, that she's never gone on a ladder, and all of a sudden this day,
You've
she
never
wants
asked me to go on a
My turn.
ladder.
She wants to do such a good job. She's way up here.
Now, listen,
in a
I must
cookie
say,
jar.
cookies and chips are my weakness. The reason I asked about the cookies and leaving them up there, not the cookies, the ones you ate,
Yes, Your
but
Honor.
the cookies, I would have eaten this whole jar.
But, Your Honor, would you climb, if you were afraid of heights, would
And
you
Matt,
climb
I know
up
you would have
there?
eaten 2 of these jars.
Yes, sir.
I put them where no one could reach them.
Now, how is she supposed to know that they're not just cookies?
Your Honor.
There was no label. There was no label
There
on
wasn't
there.
a label
What
on
do
it.
you think
Skull
the
and
label's gonna
crossbones.
say?
There was nothing on there that said
Hello?
that I couldn't have the cookie.
Ladies, talk to me. Talk to
I'm
me.
sorry, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. So how's she supposed to know, Miss Campbell,
She
that
didn't need
these
to know
cookies have
this
things
thing.
in them?
There's other food down there. See, look at the other cookies over there. She could have eaten those cookies.
But did you ever say to her, similar to Simba saying, "Don't go into the dark country"? Did you ever say to her, "Don't go to those cookies"?
I never actually said to her, because she's afraid of ladders, don't go up
I
the
don't know
ladder.
why you keep
and eat
saying
the
that.
top-
That's not true.
Because that's what you said.
So, Miss Davidson, after you hit the floor, what happened?
So when I hit the floor, and I called my son, and luckily for us, he was home.
Oh, come on.
because
If it were that serious, you would have called 911.
He was able to come right away, and he took me to the emergency room.
And this is your son you brought to court today?
Yes, it is.
Sir, would you stand, please, and come to the podium?
Yes, Your Honor.
For the record, tell me your name.
My name is Brian Davidson.
So, Mr. Davidson, what do you remember about this?
Well, my mom called me in the middle of the day. Immediately, as soon as I answered the phone, I knew something was wrong. She did not sound like herself.
Did you think your mom was high?
At the start, I did not. The only thing I could tell on the phone was that she was just having a hard time pronouncing her words. Like she might have been out of breath or something.
Did you know whether she was injured or not?
Towards the end of the call, she told me that she had fallen and she had hurt her ankle and that I needed to come over and help. And then once I got there, I walked inside and I found her on the floor in the kitchen. She
Was she distraught?
She was crying, she was in pain, she was slow moving.
That had
Which
to
is
be
why
hard
she
to
should have
see your
called
mom like
911.
that.
Yeah, it was very hard. As soon as I walked in, I almost started crying right then and there.
At this point, your mom didn't really have any idea as to why she had fallen, right?
No, she really had no idea what was going on.
So did you go to the hospital with her?
I did. I picked her up, I put her in the car, and I drove her to the hospital.
Did she look like she was high?
Her eyes were glossy. So at that point, I didn't know for sure.
Did she make you do a munchie stop off so she could deal with it?
No, Your Honor, no. But I was pretty sure she was high at the moment.
And what happened at the hospital?
They did tests, they did x-rays, they did some blood work. I actually do have some evidence here with the test results, right?
Sheriff Matt, if you'll get this from Mr. Davidson. Thank you, sir. Okay, what I see here is a toxicology report.
Yes.
This reads positive for THC, which is the psychedelic agent in marijuana. This is what you got from the hospital.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, when you're making cookies at the Campbell home, do y'all usually put weed in them?
Sometimes we do. We have,
So it's a party house.
We have, I wouldn't say it's a big party house, but we do have baking parties
Okay,
that
small
she's
party
aware
house.
of.
What?
So, Ms. Davidson, a little sensitive, but do you use marijuana?
Absolutely not. I never.
Did that day.
I don't.
Ms. Campbell, is this funny to you?
Your Honor, it's just funny.
This could have
because
been a
she's-
very bad situation.
It could have, but
Right?
if she's saying that it
And
was,
it's your weed cookies, right?
yes, they were.
Well, at least don't laugh about it.
I'm not
'cause
really
this is
laughing
a serious
at
matter.
the injury. I'm laughing at how she blows it out of proportion when she shouldn't have been on the ladder.
Now, Ms. Campbell, you see that this is a really out of the ordinary, bizarre experience for Ms. Davidson and for her son, actually.
I do, Your Honor. I see that. But it was equally as bizarre for me.
Well, you weren't high that day, though.
No.
Not that day.
See, so she knew. She acts like, oh, I didn't know about what was going on. She most certainly knew.
Well, wait a minute. Ms. Davidson, did you know that there was marijuana in this home?
Heavens no, but after this, like
Not at all?
Oh.
Not at all.
Oh, that is untrue,
If I had
Your
known,
Honor.
I would have been out of there in a hot minute.
Ms. Campbell, you say that she should have known that there was marijuana in the home.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why do you say that?
Because the bong on the table in the den, she picks it up, she dusts under it.
What did you think that was?
Well, it looked like a vase.
No
it had
one's that
water in
naive.
it.
Okay, there weren't any flowers in the bong, right?
Exactly, and the water was dirty.
So if she doesn't know what a bong is, how's she to know there's marijuana in the house?
Because when my girlfriends come over and we do our baking, we have the cookbook out.
And what's it say?
Baking with pot.
Okay. Now, Ms. Davidson, baking with pot seems kind of obvious. Why wouldn't that clue you in?
Your Honor, there are new pots on the market that you bake in.
She has
That's
seen-
what I thought. I am not used to this
That is
type
So
of
you thought it
I've
was
ever heard.
baking with pots, as in what
As
you
in a
put,
pot,
what Matt
yes.
likes beans and wieners, what
don't
you cook
bake
beans
with
and
pots
wieners in?
anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, I can't believe that I've been poisoned. I've never done drugs ever.
Are you a little embarrassed?
I'm completely and utterly embarrassed. I can't imagine like telling my friends
Well, don't tell
that I've
them.
ingested illegal drugs from my employer. And not only that, like my injury, I am now out of a job. But my injury is
You're going through a
secondary
lot.
to what I'm feeling. Like I can't believe this. And my son had to come, and now he knows that his mother did drugs.
So it sounds like it's, I mean, you suffered an injury. Obviously, you have a scooter here, but
Yes.
this is more about how this has banged up your how you feel about this.
Absolutely, Your Honor. I can't even express to you enough like what this has done to me.
But this is not about the torn ligaments in your ankle or your broken toe. It's about the emotional injury, isn't it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ladies, I think I've heard everything I need to hear. I'm ready to render my decision. Ms. Davidson, you were just cleaning the house. You thought you were climbing up to put contact paper on the high shelf. You had no idea that you would be high and you're gonna fall.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Miss Campbell, you thought that she would stay in her lane and stay away from the weed cookies,
And
true?
not go high.
That's why you
Get
put them up
high.
high, right?
Right.
Well, when I analyzed the three legs of the personal injury case, wrong cause injury, there's obviously an injury. It obviously was caused by this fall and by the weed, but the wrong is shared. That is, you should have labeled or put those cookies away. They're not ordinary cookies. You, on the other hand, you saw them on an open shelf. You saw those cookies were up there and your lunch was in the refrigerator. You could have as easily and as quickly eaten your lunch rather than these cookies. So you bear some fault for your injuries, but not all of the fault. 51% of this, Ms. Campbell, is yours. 49% of this is yours, Ms. Davidson. That's why this court is not going to award you $80,000, because you have fault in your injuries. This court is going to award you $40,800, which is 51% of what you asked for. So I find in your favor and against Ms. Campbell. That is my verdict, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. and Mrs. Richardson, it's my understanding that you all are suing Mr. Hickman for injuries, severe shoulder injury that you sustained when you slipped on peanuts at his restaurant. You're asking this court to award you $125,000 for medical expenses, $200,000 for pain and suffering, and a total award of $325,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Hickman, you believe she slipped on peanuts that were there. She should have known they were there, and it's not your fault, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, well, let's get into the legal sauce. Why did y'all choose this restaurant?
Well, Your Honor, I retired after 30 years in the school system.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So 30 years, thank you. So after 30 years being with children, I was finally glad to be over with the school system, so I decided to have a retirement party. I was going to invite some friends and family and co-workers to this place, and I chose this restaurant because it was a little on the casual side, and some of my friends are not very upscale. You know, they like a little casual atmosphere.
Now, folks have different kinds of retirement parties. In fact, the sheriffs that used to take care of me many years ago, when these older gentlemen and women would have a party, some of them would have the fun party, some of them would have the formal sit-down.
Right.
Which one was yours? Was it fun or formal?
Mine was a fun party because I had some diversified friends, so I figured, let's go to this restaurant. I heard the food was great, but when I walked in and looked at it, you know, there was a few peanut shells. I just thought they didn't sweep up that day.
So peanut shells on the floor, Mr. Hickman, is that what happens at your place?
Yeah, it's a staple of our place. It's part of the fun atmosphere that we have. It's you know, my restaurant, and my dad gave it to me. In 16 years, we've always had peanut shells on the ground. It's just a fun thing where the patrons eat the peanuts and then throw the shells.
So they eat the peanuts and then they throw them on the floor. Now, what
Correct.
happens with the shells?
The shells are just on the ground and we walk on them, but it's just part of the country theme.
So it's part of the shtick of your restaurant.
Correct.
And I imagine it's pretty popular. That's kind of novel.
People come just for that. And I also have 790 positive reviews you can see here.
Sheriff Matt, if you'll get those reviews for me.
790
I want to take a peek at them.
reviews, I'm proud to say.
Let's see
People
what
from
the
all
folks
ages, all ages.
what the
you know.
folks say here. Well, you got one here that says, only house where throwing stuff on the floor won't get you grounded. Then another one says, be a boss, crack, eat, toss.
what we do.
Sounds like a fun place.
That's what we do.
And then the final one says, real cowboys drop their nuts on the floor. I'm gonna stop reading these right now, okay? But you got a fun place. People come there to have fun.
Absolutely, it's a packed crowd every night of the week.
And part of the fun is throwing these nuts on the floor, drinking beer, just kind of real laid
Having a
back.
great time. It adds to the country atmosphere.
And that's what you all had anticipated the retirement party would be, right?
Well, I didn't anticipate it to be that much peanuts on the floor. When I went to tour the place, it was only a few shells on the floor.
So you didn't know that people throw
No, I did
shells
not.
on the floor?
I did not.
Look at this. This is
that
a
was
shot
at
of
my-
the floor in the restaurant.
At my party, right. That wasn't like that the day I went on a tour.
Well, y'all must have had either a lot of elephants or a lot of people that like peanuts.
It was a
'cause
lot of peanuts,
That's a lot
right.
of peanuts. So tell me how you got injured.
So
not true.
We're having fun, we're drinking, we're eating, and I didn't know that the restaurant was known for the nuts. I thought it was known for the food. So we're eating, having a good time, we're laughing and drinking. So one of his waitresses walks over to me and said, well, you're retired. Why don't you start a conga line? You know, I'm a party person.
love 'em.
I like to dance, which, as you can see there, I'm a dancer. So I love dancing. I had no problem with dancing, so I got up. As soon
Now,
as
those can get pretty rowdy, right?
As soon as I stepped on the floor.
Depending on how much beer you've had, you know?
Well, I didn't have any beer.
Okay.
So as soon as I stepped on the floor, bam. I mean, I fell and bust my behind. I started screaming, crying. I felt my leg was broken, my hip, I couldn't move. My husband's trying to comfort me, and I'm like, get off me. I mean, I'm just hysterical because I'm embarrassed, first of all.
So you saw this, Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Yes, Your Honor.
embarrassed, I'm in pain. The only thing I didn't hit was my head, which I'm glad.
So, Mr. Hickman, this conga line, your waitresses and waiters having a good time with the patrons, is that what you expect them to do?
Yeah, I mean, they come around, and if people are having a good time, they tell them to get up and get in the conga line. It's just part of our fun atmosphere.
So you've seen conga lines in your place before?
Absolutely, and we've never had an incident.
How'd you know that Miss Richardson was hurt?
Well, I was working the register, and I heard this shrieking scream. I turned around, and my waitress was running over to her. I saw that it was her on the ground, and I called 911 as soon as I could to get her help.
Did you know how she got down there to the floor?
No, I just heard a scream, and we just wanted to help
You
her.
should have came over to me. You're the owner.
I was on the phone with 911. So I had to talk to them for a while, so I couldn't run over
You had a
and
cordless
be
phone.
your
You coulda
aid
came over
because
to
I'm
me.
on the phone
Yes, you
with
coulda-
your help.
Everybody has a cell phone.
I have
You
a
coulda
heart.
came-
Miss Richardson.
You could have came to me.
Address your comments to me. Let me get to this thing.
Sorry,
I know
sorry,
this is
Your Honor.
important to you.
I'm just in
You
so
all
much
rigged
pain.
up there. I understand.
Peanuts are a staple of our restaurant, okay? People go nuts for our nuts. That's our slogan.
You see shells all over the floor. The conga line starts, and that's
And I
when
hit the
disaster
floor.
begins.
And not only did I fall, when I fell, I'm down on the floor and I see not only are there shells on the floor, there's nuts down there too.
Okay.
Do you know what peanut oil can do to the floor? It makes things very
That's
greasy.
what you came for.
I didn't
That's
come
what
for nuts. I
Mr.
came
Hickman,
for the food.
Mr. Hickman, how is it that peanuts get on the floor? Aren't people supposed to eat the meat and throw the shells on the floor?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
is
so
there-
the shells are on the ground, not the peanuts.
Peanuts on the ground.
the peanuts being on the floor creates at least a
Oil.
different picture, right?
Yes.
Yes, but usually it's shells, it's not peanuts. So
Well,
it's not that much oil.
Somebody comes into your restaurant, they fall, they get hurt. How's that not your fault? It's your place.
Thank
Your
you.
nuts, your shells.
She knew the risks before coming there. She toured the place and said she wanted to book it there.
But it wasn't that
so
many
she
nuts
was
on the
satisfied.
floor.
I thought, great, another happy
No.
customer. She even remarked, Your Honor, when she came and toured the restaurant, she remarked how much she
This is
loved the place and
this
how
is
much her
before the
friends.
party.
Correct, and how much her friends were going to love it too.
Right, because it was a
okay.
Do you
casual-
remember that?
Yes.
Did the floor look like that?
No.
She came during lunch. It wasn't
No.
as bad as that.
No.
Okay.
See,
There were
thank you.
clearly there were shells, discarded shells on the ground. Make
Had
sure
I
it's a safe
known it was
walkway.
going to be like that, I would have worn different shoes.
Now,
What? People go nuts for our nuts? What did you think that meant?
Well,
That they just like nuts.
Miss Richardson.
They like crazy people. I knew they
Who
were.
wears open-toed shoes? Why not
Mr. Hickman,
flats?
Mr.
It
Hickman,
didn't match my outfit. Come on.
order in this court.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Order in this court.
Sorry, Your Honor.
You guys got to talk to me.
I'm sorry, Your
If
Honor.
you want her to make the decision, keep talking to her. I got to figure this out.
Okay.
Okay?
Sorry, Your Honor.
So you slip
Right, I slipped
and
on
you hit
some
the
nuts.
floor. When did
Broke
you
my
know
hip.
that your shoulder was badly hurt?
Not only my shoulder, I have a broken hip. So my whole life has changed. I retired after 30 years. My husband and I have
So
plans
you
to
hurt your
travel.
hip?
I have a broken
You hurt
hip.
your shoulder?
My shoulder, my knee.
Your
the only thing
knee?
that didn't hurt was my head.
And you got $125,000 in past medical expenses.
Yes, because my husband has to take me to physical therapy every other day. I'm retired. I was supposed to travel.
Yes, ma'am.
We have no quality of life anymore.
I see from your medicals that you tore your rotator cuff.
Yes.
Okay, how's that been?
It's not good. As you can see, as from my pictures, I was a traveler. I ride
Is
elephants.
that you on an
That's me
elephant?
on an elephant, yes. Which
Okay.
I can't do anymore. I ride elephants, I skate, I dance, I do all of these things, which my
You're very
quality of
active.
life is no longer. I'm depressed. I mean, I stay in the bed. He has to help me get dressed in the morning.
I see that you're asking this court for $200,000 for pain and suffering. Tell me about that.
Well, because I can no longer do the things I enjoy, I don't take care of my family anymore. I can't cook, I can't clean, I can barely dress.
How do you fix your hair?
My husband, it's a wig. He know how to put a wig on now. He's learned. Okay?
So, Mr. Richardson, you've been standing in the gap for your wife, right?
There ain't no question, Your Honor.
Tell me how this has affected you all's relationship.
My wife is depressed. She's not happy anymore. She was an outgoing person before. She used to like to travel. She used to like to go places and do things. She doesn't like to do that anymore. It's hard for her to get in the bed. It's hard for her to get out the bed.
Mr. Hickman, you see this is a big deal, right?
It's unfortunate that we're here under these circumstances and that you injured yourself, and I am sorry for that. But, you know...
Are you really sorry?
That's the first time he's ever said that, too.
Is it?
Yes.
How long have you owned this place?
16 years, Your Honor.
Did anyone ever tell you that they didn't go crazy for your nuts?
I did.
No, it's not my fault, okay? Her party was the main party, eating the peanuts and throwing them on the ground.
No, we were not.
So clearly that's what
there are other,
worried
there are
about.
other people.
we were not.
There are
We're
other
not.
people.
You were.
No, we weren't.
You actually had
Order in
to
this
tell me-
court.
We were
Now,
not,
I've said it one other time that you ought to address me. Mr.
Nobody
Richardson,
ever
did you
cleaned.
see anybody in your party throwing shells on the floor? You had to,
Yes, Your Honor.
right?
I did.
Everybody was throwing shells on the floor.
All of your entire party, their entire party were joining in the atmosphere fun with the peanuts.
'Cause that's
eating them,
part of the
throwing them.
good time.
That's what we do.
But it was just,
Right?
if it was just the shells, Your Honor, then it would be a different story. But there were peanuts. When I hit the ground, there were peanuts on the ground also.
I brought an exhibit to show you today.
All right. Go on over and
And
show
Your Honor,
me.
before he does that, they should have receptacles for the nuts to go into.
But then it wouldn't be the same place. It would be a YMCA.
Your Honor, I'm stepping on these peanuts, and you can see how slippery it is. And it's not necessarily so much the peanut
Now
shell.
step on those nuts again. I want to see that. And you did that well. And you did submit a video to
I
the
submitted
court.
a video for you to let you know that about 5 minutes time how much oil is left over from these peanut shells and peanuts on the floor.
Okay, let's take a peek at it.
So if I take this shoe and I crush these shells, I'm going to give it about 5 minutes, and you'll see this paper will be soaking wet with oil just from the residue and the peanuts. It's been 5 minutes, Your Honor. As you can see, this floor
Look at
is
it.
oily from the residue and the peanuts. They're responsible for this. This is what caused my wife to fall. This is what caused her to hurt herself.
So, Mr. Hickman, you see all that oil on that butcher paper?
I do.
That could make somebody slip, though, huh?
It could,
Yes.
but but with the material on the floor, it doesn't make it that slippery.
There have been conga lines before at your place,
Every night, yes.
and people just go all around snaking around the restaurant.
And she was actually being loud and disorderly, and we had to calm her down.
She was being
was
loud and
laughing.
disorderly.
She was dancing on the peanut shells, and,
Put a little
and we had
rhythm
to
in it
keep
if
the
you want
walkway
it.
clear,
Put a little
so we
rhythm.
had a server come over and tell her, and she goes, I'm the one paying for the party.
I was.
So, Miss Richardson,
Well,
I was paying for the party, and now he's going to pay for what has happened to me. This injury, I mean,
do you have to wear that brace
Yes.
all the time?
Yes, I do.
What happens when you go to sleep at night?
I sleep like this. So can you imagine? I kick him out the bed because we have a king-size bed. He has to sleep in the guest room. He can't enjoy me anymore. I mean, my life is over with him. But thank God he's a good man. He takes care of me.
He seems like a good man.
He is. He is.
Now, Mr. Richardson, you heard Mr. Hickman talk about how she was up dancing, having a good time. She was dancing, having a good time, right?
She was supposed to be dancing and having a good
After
time.
30 years?
It's not right. It wasn't, like I said, again, it was the oil
She was
from all
wearing
those peanuts
high heels,
on the floor
Your Honor.
that caused
She was
her
wearing
to slip.
open-toed high heels.
If water was
And
spilled
she
on
wore
the floor...
high heels and open-toed shoes.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
To a country-themed bar. Maybe something a little more appropriate.
Because it
Flats or,
matched
say,
my
boots.
outfit. It matched my outfit. I'm sorry.
Somebody's gonna go to jail today.
Nope.
Address your comments to me. Y'all are making me nuts. Mr. Hickman, you mentioned that she was wearing high-heeled shoes. Don't many people come in? I mean, women wear high-heeled shoes, right?
Yes.
And they probably have done it, and everything's fine. So when she wears these, apparently these aren't appropriate for her. But, you know, she wasn't even worried about the nuts because she was dancing on top of the nuts.
Now, Miss Richardson, your husband crushed those shells on the video with a high-heeled shoe. Is that the kind of shoe you had on?
It's almost the same shoe, except those were my black ones, which I
Okay.
can no longer wear anymore. All of my heels I cannot wear
Because
anymore.
of your hip injury?
Yes. I have to wear little flat shoes now.
I think I've heard enough. I think I'm ready to render my decision. Folks, in every personal injury case, the plaintiff, that is you all, the Richardsons, you have to prove that the defendant committed a wrong, that Mr. Hickman committed a wrong, that his wrong caused your injuries. You have proven today that there were peanuts on the floor, that there was oil on that floor, that there were shells on that floor, and that a waitress allowed you to, or encouraged you to come and do a conga line. You did the conga line, you slipped and fell, and had a terrible retirement experience.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hickman, you run a restaurant that people throw peanuts and shells on the floor. She should have known this. That's why she booked the place, because of that shtick. This had never happened to you before, and frankly, you've been making the point that it's obvious. People are here for our nuts.
People go nuts for our nuts, Your Honor.
Under the law, I've got to consider everybody's responsibility. But here's the problem. Your waitress started a conga line, and that's what tips the scales. Here, I find that you are partially responsible for your injuries, but I'm going to find in your favor only because your waitress was involved. Mrs. Richardson, I find that you are 49% responsible for your injuries. You are suing for $325,000. 51% of that is $165,750. I'm making that award in that amount to you, taking into account your partial responsibilities for your injuries. I find in your favor in the amount of $165,750. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.